In part 3 of our seminar, we're just going to use our exact values of 30, 45, and 60 angles to find sine, cosine, and tangent. This is where we've been harping at you, your teachers have been harping at you from geometry to get these memorized. That the sine of a 30-degree angle is 1 over 2, because it's 1, it's x over 2x, which is 1/2. If we take a look at example 3, now that's not an exact answer, is it? So we're not going to have to use our chart. We're just going to use our calculator here. If we take a look at what we know, we have 35 degrees. X would be adjacent to 35. 7 is your hypotenuse, so adjacent hypotenuse, let's use cosine. So we're going to say, oh, the cosine of 35 degrees, my degree looks like a 0 there, equals the adjacent, which is x, over 7. Well, to do the algebra to solve for x then is 7 times the cosine of 35 degrees. We'll use your calculator at this point. I think I'm just going to use the scientific calculator on this one, provided I can find it. There it is. You're in degree on the decimals calculator because of the degree, so it takes 7 times, clear all, 7 times the cosine of 35 degrees. We get 5.7 if we round it to the nearest tenth. And that's what we're supposed to do. Let's take a look at example 4 too. It says, a competitor is hiking in a hiking competition that must climb up the incline course as shown to reach the finish line. Determine the distance in feet that the competitor must hike to reach the finish line. Hint, we're told 1 mile is 5,280 feet because we want the answer in feet. So there's 5,280. And then they're going along the hypotenuse, aren't they? Which I think I'm just going to call a variable. Let's call it r. So we're going to say adjacent hypotenuse, just like the last problem. So we're going to say, oh, the cosine of 48 degrees equals your adjacent, which is 5,280, over hypotenuse, which is r. Now, r is in the wrong spot, isn't it? R is in the denominator. We don't like solving problems with the variable in the denominator. So let's use our property of reciprocals. I'm going to take the reciprocal of both sides. Well, the reciprocal of 5,280 over r is r over 5,280. The reciprocal of cosine of 48 degrees is actually secant of 48 degrees, but we don't have secant on our calculator. We actually do, we just don't see it. But I'm going to write it as 1 over the cosine of 48 degrees. Then to solve for r, we multiply both sides by 5,280. So r is 5,280 divided by the cosine of 48 degrees. When you divide by the cosine of 48, you're really finding the secant. So we want to find our answer in feet. We're supposed to highlight that. So we'll round it to the nearest foot. So let's take 5,280 divided by the cosine of 48. And we get 7,891 if we round. If you hear the dog in the background, apologize for that. That's not my dog. That's the neighbor's dog.